Is it important? It's very crucial.
Groovy.
Little stereo.
I'll say kick it, and you'll just kick it with a tasty groove, okay? 1, 2, 3, kick it.
Woo!
Oh, hi, Mark.
He likes.
It's time for the most crucial podcast with your host, me, Mark Franchise.
Meow.
All right, it is Mark Franchise with 104.9 The Edge. I have the esteemed privilege today of talking to a singer whose presence has been strong in my life the last few years, Bayley. Thanks for hanging out today, man. Appreciate it.
Hello.
So you are coming back to the Toga Lounge. It's the fourth time for you. What about this venue draws you back? It seems like you have a pretty good relationship with the owners.
Well, it's an independent venue, and I'm underground. I'm completely independent. There's no big record company. I'm completely funded by my fans when they buy my CDs and merchandise. That's how I manage to make my living, and when fans buy the tickets, that makes it possible for me to go on tour. And here at the Token Lounge, it's run by John, and we got on very well the first time I came here. He's completely independent. It's
nice.
An independent venue. So I always like to go back to places that I like. If they care about the sound and they treat the fans with respect, then I always like to go back there. And it's one I've enjoyed coming to every time. So it's great to be here. It's about as close as we get to doing a gig in Detroit.
Yeah.
So it's nice, and one of the nice things about this gig as well, we get fans travel from different parts of the country because it's a known venue.
Yeah.
And it's always good. So for the Eagle Spirit Tour, which is the fourth tour associated with my trilogy, then we really wanted to make sure that we came here because we enjoy playing here so much. And we started with the first album, which was Infinite Entanglement, and we toured with that one, and we did an album each year and a tour each year, but sadly we haven't been able to get to the US on every tour. It tells a story across the three albums. It's one story of a man called William Black, and he doesn't know if he is human because part of what he does, it's set in the future, and he is on a spaceship going to discover a new world for humanity to populate. That's what he thinks.
Right.
He wakes up on the spaceship and he realizes that his consciousness has been transferred into a machine body, and he is no longer flesh and blood. And he must decide then, I think as a human, I feel human, but actually I'm not a flesh and blood human being. Am I human? And it's up to him to find his own identity and decide who he is. And this is at the core of the story. And he did many bad things in his past, and he seeks redemption for those dark deeds and atrocities that he committed. And part 3 of the story, the redemption of William Black, and this tour in particular, is about finding that redemption. He makes it to the new world, but he realizes on the way that he was never intended to get there. Only genetically perfect human beings were ever meant to get to the new world. And the indigenous population, they were never going to be a part of the plan. It was always wipe out the indigenous population and completely take over their planet and their resources, colonize that planet, because it's actually a private space mission set up by billionaires. And he gets to this new world against all of the odds. They try to get rid of him and throw him out into space many times. And he is saved by the indigenous people of that new world. And he decides that he will fight alongside them and fight against the colonization. And that's how he finds his redemption, to take on their fight and help them and train them to resist the new conquistadors. And that's our story. And we couldn't tell that story in the 3 tours because there are 32 songs.
Right.
And that was a number that we decided very, very early on, because you multiply that, you get to 256. And 256 hertz is where music and math meet perfectly to describe each other. And it's a tuning that you can use, and we tuned a song on our first part of the trilogy on the Infinite Entanglement album. It's a song called Dark Energy 256.
Right.
And that is tuned to this C tuning of 256 hertz. And on the album, it's like that. And it does feel different, and it feels a bit weird. And that's a part of what we've done. So we had these songs left over, which we loved, that we never had time to fit in to the overall set.
Right.
So we said, right, the Eagle Spirit tour will be the final tour associated with this trilogy, because the eagle is the spirit animal that William Black attaches himself to, and the final song on part 3, the album called The Redemption of William Black, the final song is called The Eagle Spirit. And so we are here and performing that song, Eagle Spirit, at the end of our set list, and other songs that we haven't played from the 3 albums, we're doing those as well. And the really surprising thing is, but it's a good surprise, fans that have seen me over many years, 5, 10, 15 times, have come and said, this is my favourite set list.
That's awesome.
So that's fantastic for me, and it's a big surprise. So it's something that means a lot, and I'm really enjoying the tour and singing those songs, and incredible reaction that we get to the set.
Yeah, that's really phenomenal, because it really seems like you guys put more energy into this album. Really, you the entire trilogy, you put so much thought into it, and you can definitely tell because the music speaks for itself.
Thank you. We did look at every detail and constantly ran the story through, and does this make sense? What does that person do there? Why do they do that? Lyrically, does this fit together with that? A lot of details to take care of, and we managed to do it. And for me, in my career, I feel it is my greatest accomplishment. I have 11 albums, and these 3 really stand out to me, and I have an affinity with these 3 records and the story.
Yeah, it's a great accomplishment. And is that why you guys decided, now you recently put out the Live in France CD and DVD.
Years and years ago, what I wanted to do was, at the end of each tour, record 1 or 2 shows and have the live album. So that each tour, you get the studio album at the start of the tour, you listen to that, you go and see the band on tour perhaps, and then at the end of the tour, there's the set list that you saw on a live album. And the management I had at the time and the record company weren't interested in that, because they said you don't make much money on it. And it's not really just about making the money, it's just a really nice thing and something that I would like to have. And the management I have now said, yeah, it's a nice idea and it's good for fans, because everything we do is orientated, because we are fans about fans. So we had Live in France, which was that to go with that part of the tour.
Yeah.
And then we are planning another live album, which will be this set list towards the end of this tour. And each tour now, because I'm independent and we can make our own decisions about our releases and when they come out, and because I have really cool management that takes the artistic view very seriously, I'm able to do that. So as a fan, you can have the studio album, see the tour, and the live album of the tour.
That's so
and
cool.
It's something that we wanted to do for a long time, and I'm very happy that we could do that.
And diehard fans love it too, because you constantly post on your Instagram, especially on your US tours, and you see these shows and there are these diehard fans that are there every single time.
I'm very, very lucky that I'm fan funded. It's Blaze Bayley fans pre-ordering my album and going to my shop and shopping direct at blazebayley.net. That's what funds me and keeps me going. There's no pledge funding, there's no crowdfunding. It's completely independent. It's just my fans that fund me, and I'm very, very lucky to have so many wonderful fans that have supported me for years and years through all my ups and downs. So I'm very, very lucky to have that support.
You definitely have one of the most passionate fan bases, and you can tell that too because you immediately give right back to them. It's very rare that you'll find an artist who's had really the success that you've had, but I mean, any time that you can be a performing artist for years and years, that to me defines success. If you can continuously create music for fans, and the fact that you give right back and do free meet and greets at all your shows really shows the kind of person that you are. And it doesn't surprise me that your fans are as loyal to you as you are to them.
I'm just very lucky, you know. For me, the meet and greet is just thank you. I'm very, very lucky to have the support. So it's a small thing to say thank you. And when I'm writing, particularly when we're at the stage where we're putting ideas together and starting to make demos and then starting to shape ideas into what we think may be songs and final songs, that's when I have my fans in my mind and I'm thinking of my listener. And I know many of them because I see them again and again at concerts.
Right.
And I think, how are they going to feel when they hear this? Is this projecting the emotion that I want it to project? So my fans are always with me, and I'm not trying to get big. That sounds strange to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But I've been in the biggest heavy metal band in the world. It was a fantastic experience. I loved it and learned so much with Iron Maiden and writing with Steve Harris and the rest of the guys in the band. But now I want to do my own thing and get close to people and see my music come to life within these smaller rooms at smaller concerts. And I want to take things back for me personally to when I started getting into music and getting into metal. There were no arena gigs then, no big stadium gigs, and you went to see bands, heavy metal bands in theatres in those days, and smaller rooms, bands that had albums out, and I want to get back to that. So for me, what I'm doing is, as I sell out some venues on the tour, then we'll say, well, we'll come back for 2 nights next time. And so far that's working. That part of my dream is coming true. Instead of getting to a bigger venue, which I'm not really interested in, there's a lot more politics and they want to charge you to sell your t-shirts. You can't always park your car. A beer costs a fortune. Mm-hmm. So instead of doing that, I stay with independent, smaller venues that have good sound systems, and I get to meet my fans, the people that make it possible for me to make a living as a professional singer. And that's a really good thing for me. And the only times that we don't do a meet and greet is if I'm sick, or we have to travel a long way, if we have to get a flight,
no doubt,
directly after, then I just can't physically do it.
Right.
But most of the time, at every Blaze Bayley concert, there is a free meet and greet before or after the show.
It sounds like you've really aligned yourself with the right people, and you can tell musically too. Your band that backs you is super strong. Even reaching back to some of the Wolfsbane and Iron Maiden catalog. I mean, you close your eyes and you're listening to that song as you originally heard it. It's amazing how good these guys are. They're so talented, and you all seem to really gel really well with one another on stage.
Well, we do our best. And when you come to a Blaze Bayley concert, there's no click track, there's nothing on tape, the drummer's not following anything except his heart. And we connect on stage with a feeling and a telepathy. There's nothing in the way. Anything can happen. We can stop a song, we can quiet it down, we can do anything, because there's no tape, there's nothing. In that show, you don't hear anything apart from 100% live what the band play. And that's the way that we like it.
Yeah, and it shows too, because you guys definitely put your hearts into your performance, and it comes across, because as soon as the last time you were here, this is your fourth time at the Token Lounge, correct?
I think so, yeah.
So the last time you guys were here in 2017, ironically, was the day I interviewed for my job for 104.9 The Edge out in Kalamazoo. So I drove from the interview, I came over here, and man, when you guys hit the stage, it was just, there was so much electricity going on in the crowd, and I was so glad to be a part of it. I felt like it was, again, a great, amazing show experience that I feel sometimes that magic gets lost in bigger venues, and it just goes back to, man, you used to see these guys who were playing arenas and huge amphitheaters who, man, back in the day, they were just playing smaller venues. That's where they brought the thunder.
Yeah, everybody played. When Ronnie Dio started, it was all places like Token Lounge and slightly bigger bars and things. That's where he started when he was in Elf, and he went to places like this all over the USA. And when Ronnie James Dio was with Elf and they turned up to a gig with a massive PA, and if the bar owner said, Ronnie James Dio told me this himself, this story, they would turn up and the bar owner would say, that is just too loud. We can't have it that loud. And then all the guys would say, okay, pack up the truck. We're not playing here tonight. Nobody tells us how loud it's going to be.
Right.
And that's he told me that story, and he was already my hero vocally, but then he was an even bigger hero, that he valued his independence and his so much that they were prepared to do that.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, this is where it started. And there, of course, there is room for every kind of artist and every kind of show, going up to Disturbed, playing huge places with a big set, and Metallica and Maiden. But this is where I like to be. I enjoy playing big festivals. I'm opening for Slayer at Sweden Rock.
Wow.
And we're very excited about that. You know, a big festival, thousands of people.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do those things. But my tours are in these kinds of venues, and smaller and a little bit bigger. It's all around this size where you can actually meet every single fan. Sometimes the meet and greet is 400 people.
Yeah.
And that takes a long time
No doubt.
to sign and have photos with those people, but that's what we do.
That's awesome, man. Well, yeah, it's exciting because the redemption of William Black is finished. You guys have finished the trilogy. You did mention you're going to be releasing another live album, and you've got a couple of festivals on the way. Do you guys have any idea of what's next for Blaze Bayley?
Well, we just have ideas at the moment. So the trilogy is done, that's complete. This is the final part of the trilogy. We still have some more shows to go with the Eagle Spirit Tour. At summer festivals in Europe, I'm doing a very special set list. It's 25 years since I joined Iron Maiden.
Wow.
And so I'm doing a full set list of my favourite songs from that era.
Oh, wow.
And we're playing on these festivals and very excited about it. And that will probably be the last time you'll hear me play that many Iron Maiden songs in a set. We've slowly over the years reduced it because I have more and more of my own songs that my fans want to hear.
Absolutely.
And it's very exciting. Some people say, oh, please play Sign of the Cross, please play The Klansman, please play Common Stats. And I say, well, we did that on the last tour.
Yeah.
We change it each time and people miss it. So that's why I decided to do it. A lot of people don't even know that I have a solo career after Iron Maiden. Some people don't even know I'm alive. So I thought, well, you know, this is a good opportunity, 25 years to kind of say, yeah, I appreciate this. It's a great part of my life, an important part of my career, but it's not my whole career.
Right, absolutely.
It's 20 years ago, and I've done a lot since then. And it's nice, really, to see my fans now that have been with me for a long time and they have all my albums, and a lot of those guys say, well, I don't really care about hearing any Iron Maiden songs, but there's a whole lot of people that have never even seen me sing those songs ever.
Right, that's true.
And the X Factor and Virtual 11 were re-released just a few years ago. And there's an interest now to say, oh, I never saw that singer. I never saw those songs performed live. So it's interesting to do it. And so far, it looks like it's going to go well. And then after that, I'm going to ride my motorcycle a lot and start thinking about what we'll do next.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited for the show tonight, no doubt. I know I got a couple of friends of mine that are coming that I normally go to heavy metal shows with in this area as well, and we were excited that you guys decided to come back. So we're ready for it, definitely. So I know there's a lot of people around here that are ready for it too. So I reached out to a couple of people, a couple different websites on Facebook, through Iron Maiden fan club as well, let them know that we were going to be doing this interview as well. And there's a couple of fan questions, if you wouldn't mind.
Okay.
People are interested in. Corey Briers was curious. He said you most recently finished the December Wind album with Thomas Zweitzen, and on the album you did a version of like 2 a.m. You've also recorded songs off the 2 albums that you did with Maiden, and I've actually even heard, I just watched a few weeks ago your cover with him of Blood Brothers as well, and he was curious if you were going to continue working with him in the future with...
Yes, it's just a matter of time.
Right.
Thomas is really busy, he's really taking off now, and he has a lot of tour commitments, and I have a lot of things that I'm ready to do with recording my next full metal album. The December Wind album is a fantastic achievement for me. It came out better than we ever expected it to, and particularly the song December Wind. So it's something that I'm very proud of. It's my big classical acoustic album, and some people don't like acoustic things and other people do really like it, and my fans generally like to have something which is they can play a bit more chilled out, and sometimes they have full metal. So it's done really, really well, and we will work together in the future. But at the moment we have a tour in November in Europe. We have some shows, and then after that we have nothing planned because I'm really busy with my solo career.
Yeah, no doubt. Which is fun because we always love hearing new music from you as well. Jim Orr, my buddy who actually got me into Maiden and Judas Priest, and he was curious what your favorite song was to sing with Maiden and with your band Blaze Bayley. Now, what your favorite one from that era?
It's very, very difficult. So I think it's a very difficult question. I enjoy singing Como Estas Amigos a great deal, and Judgment of Heaven. I really enjoy doing those two. And of my own songs, then it's very, very difficult to choose, but it would be Fight Back or Calling You Home.
Nice.
From the trilogy, because they're both songs with a connection to things that I've been through in my life. And Fight Back is the story of an episode in the trilogy where he realises they've tried to assassinate him and get rid of him, and by sheer force of will he's managed to hang on and not just submit, but they expected him to give up, but he has refused to give up, refused to capitulate. They never expected that, and that's why it's Fight Back.
That's awesome, and that's included in this tour as well, right?
That's in this set list, so I really enjoy doing that. And Calling You Home is about being away from home, and it has a lot of similarities to being away on tour. There are a lot of moments in the song where you can think, well, I'm away on tour. And in the part of the story, Calling You Home, he's gradually leaving the solar system and looking forward, but missing home and missing what he thinks of as home.
That's deep. There seems to be a lot of thought, like I said, a lot of thought put into this album, especially wrapping up the trilogy as well. Is there any updated news also on Wolfsbane at all? Is there any?
We're still together, and we do a reunion every time that we're all free at the same time. We're trying to get together to do some writing this year. We would love to do another Wolfsbane album. Wolfsbane Saves the World was the last one, did really well.
Okay.
And if you want to know about Wolfsbane, go to wolfsbanehms.com and have a look at what we're doing. So hopefully when I get back, we'll find a few days to get together, do some writing. It's very exciting. I always enjoy Bob Wolfsbane stuff, and people often ask about it. It's a lot of fun to do it.
Yeah.
It's a different thing. In Wolfsbane, I'm in the band. And it's not me driving things forward, not all my ideas. We're a real band, and everybody contributes to it. So it's really nice to be in that band environment sometimes.
Does it kind of feel like stepping back to when you were originally during the first run of Wolfsbane?
Nothing much has changed. We're the same people, just older and slightly wider.
Nice. Well, I did also have a question about something that I was curious about. I think 2013, Maiden England, the DVD came out, and Maiden's been putting together the history of Iron Maiden. The only part of that puzzle that's missing is the space between No Prayer for the Dying and Brave New World, and they did say that Part 4 was coming, which would obviously include you. Have they reached out to you? Have you filmed anything?
No, not yet. And I don't have any video footage from those times either. I think there are a few odd videos here and there, a few bootlegs lying around of some performances.
Yeah.
But it's a big change in the way that Maiden did things. Before then, they had a way of doing things, and then when they got me, it was the start of the progressive era.
Absolutely.
Of Iron Maiden. And when Brave New World came, there was a big push behind that. That was then Maiden were really becoming the stadium band. So it was a big change, I think, and I'm in the mess and the difficult part of that change as you go from one thing to another. So I think it's difficult to make sense, whereas you go back and you can see, well, Paul was there on the first two albums, right. Paul Di'Anno, and I'm in this middle part. Paul is the legend from the beginning. Bruce is the definitive Iron Maiden singer, and I'm the interesting one in the middle. So not everybody knows about me, and I just think that's an interesting place to be. There's still a lot of people that absolutely hate the fact I had anything to do with Iron Maiden, and I meet people at my shows that say, you were the first singer of Iron Maiden. For me, I got into Maiden with you, and those two albums mean the world to me. So it goes either way, really.
When I first discovered them, the first album I bought was Power Slave, and that opened up an entire new world for me, because I just couldn't believe that I had been missing out all these years. So I got into their first 7 albums. Those are the first ones I purchased. I saw them in 2010. They only played El Dorado on the tour, but they had basically played all music from 2000 and up, with the exception of Number of the Beast and, Fear of the Dark. And then I had purchased those albums. I'd never really experienced those 90s albums until after that. And after listening to it, everybody's opinions are different, but I feel like the 2 albums that you were on were the definitive albums of the 90s. I feel like maybe there was some inner turmoil with the band during the early 90s, but I feel like the writing and the music itself was so powerful on X Factor and Virtual 11. Virtual 11, to me, I feel is the best Maiden album of the 90s. The sound, the vocals, the entire album is, to me, just flawless. And, like I said, everybody's opinions are different, but I think you can't really compare singers. You're a very different singer. Your singing style is unlike anybody else's. So you draw inspiration from different people, and you do what you do, and it works for you. It's amazing. And that's why I've never felt it very fair to compare different singing styles. It's illogical to me. So those 2 albums, I feel, are the strongest from the 90s for them, and I think you're a big reason for that, too. I think he was wise in his decision-making when it came to tasking you as a new lead singer. I'm sure that brought a lot of pressure on.
It was a great time, and it's just the same as sports, really. If you play soccer and you're in an amateur team that plays on Sunday afternoons, or you're in a big team that plays professionally, or you represent your country, the rules of the game are exactly the same. It's exactly the same game, but the intensity is vastly different. No doubt. So what I do now is exactly the same as what I did in Iron Maiden, but the intensity of being in Iron Maiden is incredible. You feel as if you are in the World Cup playing for England every single night of the tour, and you have to win.
Right.
And that's a certain level of intensity. But that's a good thing. The reward is you get this incredible reaction from thousands and thousands of loyal fans, and it's just an incredible experience. But that is the difference, really. Where I am now, we don't have that intensity. We don't have so many interviews, or not everybody recognises me, or things like that. But in those days doing that, then it's very, very intense. And I think now Bruce is looking, it's weird to say it, I think he's looking the best he's ever looked in his career. He's an incredible singer. He's fought back from cancer. He's the hallmark voice almost of an entire genre. You could use Bruce's voice and his delivery on a number of different songs to say that's heavy metal singing at its absolute best. So I am not anywhere near that voice. I come from a completely different place. My voice is a different shape. The voices are unique to people, and he does such a great job, and he does a fantastic job for Iron Maiden, and he just performs so well, and I really enjoy where I am, do my performances as well, and meeting people and being close to my fans.
Absolutely. That's great too, because they've stuck around. Obviously you've got a lot of people, like you said, who they were like, dude, you introduced me to Maiden, like you were the voice of them, and they've been with you throughout all these years, and you guys continue to just write fantastic music, and I'm really excited not only for the show tonight, but to see where you guys take the music in the future as well. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
The world